Hello Team FD and welcome back to Sunday Vibes. Bit of squad rotation this week, but luckily, strength and depth on Team FD. DJ Elab, Doogie Critchley replaced Patrick Van Straten and Joe Tomlinson, who are both on holiday. They might as well be travel agents at this point.
Yeah,
when was the last time you saw them together in the office?
Yeah, it's been a while. Good old month or so.
Yeah, if not more, Jesus.
Anyway, this episode of Sunday Vibes is brought to you by Budweiser, official beer partner of the Premier League, and the latest episode of Kings of the Premier League, presented by our friend Adam Smith, is now available to view on Sky On Demand and on Sky Sports Football YouTube. Little mix of professional footballers, influencers, there's some power rankings in there. But we've got some powerful questions from you guys and we need to get stuck into them straight away. This one's from Brennan Big P. Might be my friend Luke Brennan. Just had a kid, shout out. Who isn't getting the credit they deserve this season? Oh, and I've got an inkling that you're going to start us off, Doogie.
Yeah, I'm quite keen to talk about my guy because I think it's such a good story. I'm going to talk about Raul Jimenez, who obviously joined from Benfica on loan initially last year. I think it was like a €3 million fee with a £39 million buyout clause. And they were pretty keen to make it permanent after his first year in the Premier League. I think it was 13 goals, 7 assists. Took to it really easily, led Wolves to their best league finish since 1980, had a very good time of it, and it had been a bit of a surprise that he took to it so easily, just because his impact at Benfica was actually fairly minimal. I didn't really realise until yesterday he'd only got 13 goals and 6 assists in the previous 2 years at Benfica, and he was playing backup to Jonas at the time.
I think he only started 12 games during that period,
Yeah,
didn't he?
really
Ridiculous.
weird. So it meant his minutes to goal ratio was very good, but he hadn't been used as a starter. And then this year, I feel like he's kicked on even further. Wolves started really badly. I think they were winless after their first 6 games. A lot of draws in there, to be fair. And they were 19th and looking like they were in a bit of trouble, especially with the Europa League campaign starting around that similar time. A lot of travel involved in that. But since that 5-2 defeat against the mighty Blues, they've gone unbeaten. They've gone unbeaten in a good old 7 or 8 games, I think, which is absolutely phenomenal.
How are they fifth?
I know.
How are they fifth?
I was explaining to Premier League this season, it's all been up in the air.
Yeah, and Jimenez has been absolutely crucial in that. He's now in 14 goals in the in all competitions. I think it's about 6 or 7 in the Premier League, another 3 assists.
That's level with Raheem Sterling as well.
Level with Raheem Sterling, and I feel like he's just getting better and better. And this Wolves team now, after that slow start with a lot of travel in that Europa League campaign, now look like they're going to go through to the knockout stages of that. I think they're 5 points clear of 3rd place before this. So this is filmed on a Wednesday. They've got a game against Bratislava tomorrow, I think it is. And if they win that, then they'll definitely go through, and that'll be their first knockout stages of a European campaign.
They've only
since
lost
the
once.
80s. Only lost once in their opening game against Braga. So it's between Braga and them to go through top. And Raul Jimenez, just the positions he picks up, the way he links up with players around him, he's sort of as close to a complete player in the sort of striking mode that you can get, and he's really quick, he picks up good positions. His link up with the Dama Traore has been so crucial. I thought he played really well against Bournemouth again on Saturday. Jeremy Tino very much pulling the strings behind them, and Diego Jota's now come into a lot of form as well. So for Nuno Espirito Santo, things are looking really good going into the Christmas period. And this unbeaten run looks like it's going to be very difficult to, end coming up into this period. So I'm just all behind the Raul Jimenez train at the moment.
We've always pushed for teams to go for the 3 points. These middling clubs, if they play for draws, they won't get anywhere, we said. And 6 or 7 draws later, they're 5th.
Yeah.
And firm favourites now. Well, not firm favourites, but in and amongst them for Europa League football. And his form's also meant that they could blood in Patrick Cutrone, quite slowly. He's been quietly effective when he's been on the pitch, and I think will be a good addition to that roster. Now, the player you're covering, not necessarily the most important to Chelsea, because that's fairly obvious, right? Jorginho is the beating heart of that Chelsea side. Tammy Abraham, his goals are crucial in the absence of someone like Eden Hazard. So you want to shine a little light on someone who deserves a bit more credit, because the man sat in this chair has referred to, who usually sits in this chair, not me, has referred to him as a donkey on many previous occasions.
He would absolutely love to have Kurt Happy Zuma in his club, wouldn't he? He's really shone this season, especially after, if you think about 2 seasons ago, his club got relegated, Stoke City. And over the past 2 campaigns, he's really managed to form, kind of get back to the level of where he was a couple of seasons ago before his back injury. Because before then, when we first bought him from Saint Etienne. He was incredible. He looked really, really good, and then he got that back injury, and once he came back, it looked really dark days.
It's hard to recover from. I remember Rio Ferdinand saying he wasn't the same player for a long time.
Well, it's also just like mentally, it's like,
injury.
if I go up for this header, which as a defender you need to, then when I come down, I might do my back in again. But yeah, so Stoke City Stoke City, I think, allowed him to get a lot of time under his belt.
Yeah.
He got over 2,500 minutes, started to establish himself back in the Premier League. They might have got relegated, but then his loan move to Everton was what kind of brought him back to where he is right now. It really was, especially coming near the end of the season. I mean, they only conceded 46 goals in 38 games. Him and Michael Keane at the back were unbelievable. And even Yerry Mina every now and again when he needed to, he popped up with a few goals too. But yeah, at Everton, it really helped him kind of find his feet again in the Premier League and kind of get his confidence back. And then this season with Chelsea, although at the beginning of the season when it was him and Tomori, him and Christensen, sometimes he was even on the bench, he struggled to find his feet. But recently he's really put good performances in. I think Tomori gets a lot of the credit because Tomori's really young, right? He's come through the academy. But I think people forget that Zuma's still quite young as well. And we bought him when he was even younger. I think we might have bought him when he was like 20, 21. So now he's kind of like one of the most experienced heads in that squad while still being a youngster. And he's been able to kind of take on the leadership role within those two, the two partner, him and Tomori.
Deserves a lot of credit because Rudiger's been injured, right? And he's had to step in.
Exactly. And especially there have been times when you see him playing, it's like, oh, maybe it is a little bit, you know, his touch is a little bit heavy, or like the way he passes the ball isn't quite as flashy as you probably, or as normal as you'd expect. But he does the job. He does the job really well now.
Yeah.
And it's only a matter of time, I think, until if he keeps going at these performances, you have to start saying, actually, he's not this.
Rudiger's not nailed on to return
well,
to
this
that
is
side.
it now. Like, Rudiger's been out Rudiger, I don't think will play a Premier League game until the new year. And so by that point, if he's coming, because he's going to have to take time to get back into the squad.
Yeah.
And so I don't really see there being a 100% chance that Rudiger makes it back into the end of the season.
Even when Chelsea revert to a 3 at the back, which sometimes happens, right,
Yeah,
Aspilicueta plays on the outside. So
Exactly.
And you've not looked as porous recently. What is it? 8 goals in your last 7 games after 12 in your last 5. I mean, defensively, you were a shambles at the start of the season. It's looking a bit better now. As his performance is sort of key to that.
Yeah, I think it's different because when you're a fullback like Aspilicueta is, right, and you're the leader, it's kind of hard to keep the line because obviously you're bombing up and down the pitch. So Zuma's definitely had to kind of take that role, and you can see it between him and Tomori how their communication with each other, and they're always if Tomori's pushed forward, Zuma's always dropping back.
So they're starting to build a stronger,
really good
relationship,
which is kind of the worry for Rudiger as well, right? That the worry that maybe Rudiger is the better centre back. But then putting him in over, say, Zuma, is that going to screw up the conversation, the talking on the pitch and the relationship that they have, which at the moment is one of the best in the league. It's an exciting time, and again, just another young player coming through. That it's good to see. It's good to see it, especially when at the beginning you were like, after that injury, oh no, he's not.
Yeah, it's good to see him fulfil his potential because
also,
he had undoubted potential. Right?
He's also had a lot of pressure on himself as well with David Luiz leaving as well, because I think he fell out with Lampard over different directions of where they were, where he's going to play at the club. I think David Luiz obviously wanted a more primary role, and obviously Lampard probably said that's not going to happen. And so he's had to deal with that. He's had to deal with essentially, I guess he said at the beginning of the season, Chelsea being very porous at the back. So I think whilst Tomori has got a lot of credit, I think Azuma needs to be given some as well now as well.
And the way you've handled the big games in the last 2 months as well, like the Liverpool performance was excellent, and Man City performance was excellent. Less defensively solid against Ajax, obviously, but then a good win away against Lille as well.
But he did toast 5 blokes.
I thought he was going to score. It was ridiculous.
That was one of my moments of the season.
And the shot came down with snow on it.
Oh God.
I've got a couple names here. Maybe we'll do these in a more quick-fire fashion, just to really work our way towards the end of this question. So Bernd Leno. I mean, didn't exactly have huge shoes to fill last season when he came in halfway through because Arsenal's defence was so porous and Petr Cech was getting an awful lot of abuse. He arrived for a fairly decent fee of 22.5 mil, signed a 5-year contract. So obviously, Arsenal, I don't know if it was Mislintat at the time, or, whoever, particularly Unai Emery, see him as the sort of their long-term goalkeeper, and it took a little while to bed in, didn't it? I mean, they conceded 51 goals in 17-18, so the season before that. That was the most since 1984, and they finished 6th, which was their worst finish since 1995. And then there was a slight period of renewed optimism. You know, Czech is still playing at this point, but it didn't finish much better, particularly that run after April. I think they were 4th after 33 games, lost to Palace, Wolves, Leicester, drew with Brighton, meaning that final day victory against Burnley wasn't enough for Champions League football. They effectively gifted Tottenham Champions League football, which meant they could sign Lo Celso and Ndombele. But, you know, even that gift wasn't really utilised by Tottenham, was it? And they only finished 1 place higher in Unai Emery's maiden season and 7 points above where they were in Wenger's last season. But without Bernd Leno,
who knows?
It could have been even more catastrophic. I mean, this season he's still been okay. I mean, there's not a lot of silver linings at Arsenal at the moment. I mean, they still remain in the top half of the table despite 2 wins in 11. But he was one of, I think, 4 goalkeepers. We did a Premier League daily video on this. Go and check it out for more detail because undoubtedly the numbers have just fallen out of my head a little bit. I think one of 4 goalkeepers in the top 10 that performed above his expected goals. I think he was 2, which is fairly modest, but he was saving an awful lot of high quality chances actually because Arsenal was so porous inside their own box. He was having to make the same sort of saves as a keeper in the region of like 14th. 15th, 16th. Really? And Arsenal are now facing 16.8 shots this term. So the German is working overtime, isn't he? So I think he deserves a little bit of a shout-out.
You got to feel bad for him with that Arsenal defence recently. Like the goal they conceded on the weekend was so bad.
Yeah, I think they need to just give up with this passing out from the back with David Luiz and Sokratis because it just doesn't suit Sokratis in particular.
Poor Kieran Tierney as well, giving away that penalty, despite probably being Arsenal's man of the match in that game.
And he saved the penalty as well, didn't he? Yeah, he saved the pen.
Initially, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate you can't really get the rebound.
Oh, Bernd Leno. I thought you meant Kieran Tierney. I was like, what did he do? Arsenal just really lacklustre at the moment. Do you see them, just to deviate very quickly, do you see them finishing inside the top 5, 6?
Well, they're still in the mix despite playing so poorly, which just shows the weaknesses of the other teams around them, really. I think if they changed their manager, they could comfortably finish in the top 6.
It's not for a lack of talent in the squad,
It's not for a lack of talent, exactly. Like you can see it improving. And Bellerin's only going to get better. I feel like he hasn't started after a long-term injury. That effectively, which seems harsh to say, but he's not looked at his best. And then there's issues further forward, but Ozil's come back in a bit more recently and looked a bit sharper going forward. And with that front line, you're always going to have plenty of opportunities. So I think they could comfortably finish in the top 6, but I'd suggest that in the next 2 weeks they probably need to change their manager.
Yeah,
Ooh,
I mean it's also like they're very lucky with like no serious injuries to say about Aubameyang. Like if Aubameyang was out for a couple of months, then
that's a very good point.
Good luck to them.
Yeah, as much as Raul Jimenez is performing, for Wolves, dragging them up the table, Aubameyang is in a very similar situation, if not more so. I mean, a 6-game winless run, that's the longest since 1998, and they're 9 points worse off than they were in this stage in 18-19, which is probably the most damning stat, right? I mean, the league table doesn't necessarily reflect it even because of the poor performances of the other top clubs, but Jose Mourinho, a little resurgence going on at Tottenham. We expected a little upturn there. So, I mean, Man United drawing 3-3 with Sheffield United was a little bit of a gift for them.
Sheffield United are good, man.
Yeah.
Like I think it's harsh.
And they've got Pogba potentially coming back in the next couple of weeks. They're only going to get better. I feel like
it's
Arsenal,
so toxic at Arsenal.
Arsenal's momentum is just so poor, and I feel like I think it's 5 or 6 of their games in all competitions this year they've conceded over 18 shots, which for Arsenal. And Emery was brought in as a relative pragmatist. He was supposed to be pretty solid defensively, and just hasn't materialised whatsoever. They're getting worse, if anything, defensively.
Well, he was supposed to be a tactician,
Yeah.
and his shortcomings were supposed to be coaching players and man management and a little bit of communication. And that's not necessarily a slight at his English. That was the case when he was managing in Spain and France as well. But in games, we're seeing him sort of overload the attack. There's a total absence of midfield, and it's just how can I get as many players who score goals on the pitch as possible, and not ship, 100 goals. I mean, they've conceded like you said, 18 shots on 7 occasions. Absolutely damning. Let's go to some more names now. Dwight Mcneil, what do we think of at the start of his season?
Because
one of the only creative players in that squad.
an unorthodox player at Burnley,
Yeah,
given
literally.
context.
I mean, I love Dwight Mcneil. I feel like he doesn't get the credit he deserves because he's playing for Burnley, and they're not necessarily the most entertaining side to watch. Very set piece reliant, as we always know with Burnley. But Burnley are playing really well at the moment. Back-to-back 3-0 wins. Dwight McNeil's been crucial in that. I think he's 1 goal, 4 assists this year after 3 goals and 5 assists last year. And he only came into the side around December time last year, and he's only 20. His numbers aren't outstanding, but his delivery, the way he curves the ball in with his left foot, I really feel like he's got a big future in the game. And we all slightly took the piss when Juventus were linked with him in the summer. Probably was a bit too early, and it was funny.
One of my favourite transfer review titles in the summer for Euro Football Daily, that Dwight Mcneil to Juventus, 40 mil.
I feel like if he keeps on progressing like this, I don't see why he couldn't play for a top 8 club one day.
Possibly top 6.
Possibly top 6. I mean, he's only 20. I feel like there's a lot of promise there. And Burnley have really, once again, rediscovered their mojo. And in Chris Wood and Ashley Barnes, you've got 2 of the best strikers in that sort of 6-yard area that you can have. And then Jay Rodriguez coming on, scoring bangers. There's a lot to be excited for a Burnley fan at the moment.
To be fair, he might even do better in a team that is more suited to his style of play.
Exactly,
right?
more possession-based.
If they are more possession-based and more where he's allowed to kind of do kind of more creative things rather than have to just hoof a ball inside the box, he might improve even more so.
You'd imagine his numbers would be slightly, more padded out at a more possession-based club, let's say, because 1.2 shots, 1.4 key passes, not massively impressive. He's extremely economic, it would seem, with his underlying numbers to his total output. Obviously, 2 assists and a goal in his last 5 Premier League goals has helped to that. 2.2 dribbles, pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad.
So quite handy in a one-on-one situation. And an expected goals and assist value of 0.25, which is probably similar to what a Dominic Calvert-Lewin, so a striker at Everton, albeit,
a pretty
not a massively overperforming striker at Everton. Okay, couple more names. Johnny Evans. Now, Johnny Evans, I've put forward time and time again as the best signing in the Premier League era, well, since 2000, for under £5 million. 31 now, 24 Premier League games in 18-19, so he really started to make that centre-back berth his own in that period. Started every game in 19-20.
He was linked to City, wasn't he?
He was. That was when.
And Arsenal.
That was when he was at West Brom, right? And they were going to sign him in that January or maybe the summer for 14, 15 mil. And I think Arsenal and City would snap your hands off for Johnny
100%.
Evans now, because he's looked great next to Sionku, hasn't he? And I think Sionku's probably been getting more praise, more media attention because of his style of play. He's very unorthodox, isn't he? He's very brave and cavalier, but Johnny Evans is that steadfast defender next to him. And his distribution from the back is absolutely great. 61 passes a game, so he's kind of taken up some of the mantle, although Sionku's numbers for passes per game, I think, exceed that in the 70s. Taken up some of that passing mantle left by Harry Maguire's exit. Before we move on to Europe then, Lys Mousset. What a don. More goals in 10 games for Bournemouth in 53, 54? No, 10 games for Sheffield United and 54 Bournemouth.
He's been so... I mean, him against United, he was unbelievable. He's been the whole Sheffield United squad kind of deserve praise individually, I guess. But yeah, he's kind of been the man that's helped them more attacking-wise as well, especially... who's the midfielder that I'm forgetting?
Norwood,
Lundstrom. Norwood has also been particularly good. But Mousset's he just kind of makes something out of nothing, I always find. Like the United goal especially was just like the shot. I mean, I do think De Gea should do better.
I suppose the focus is more on him because he was their record signing before they went and broke it again by signing Ollie McBurney. And I suppose McBurney did score against Manchester United, but I suppose Chris Wilder was imagining he'd get Mousset's sort of output from Burnley in that kind of swap roles in terms of importance in the striking hierarchy at Sheffield.
Yeah, definitely. I think Callum Robinson started a lot of their games early season as well. He's slightly been more phased out. Mousset's become the main man. I think he's only started 5 Premier League games, but his stats look really good. I think he's really very strong. He runs the channels very well. He looks pretty complete, and it's baffling that he didn't get more chances to start at Bournemouth. I mean, he'd get a lot of games, but I think it was only about 10 starts in 3 years. But you've often found that with Bournemouth strikers trying to play back up to Callum Wilson and Josh King, because they're rarely injured, or at least Josh King is. And we've seen him at the dominant Solanke, hasn't really quite developed how you want to at Bournemouth. Breaking into that first 11, seems to be quite difficult, especially with Eddie Howe liking to play, Brooks when he's available, Fraser on the wings, more of a 4-4-2.
What's happened to Big David Brooks this season?
Well, he's been injured, I think. Yeah.
Poor bloke.
Yeah,
John,
and
we didn't know
Ryan
who he
Fraser's not look anywhere,
The Bournemouth
anywhere near his best either. Although
Yeah.
still linked with Liverpool a couple of months ago.
They also got Wilson as well, who's probably actually not been as good as everyone kind of expected, but I don't think he's played as much as either. But yeah, I mean, he's...
Lys Mousset, absolute boss. I mean, he came from Le Havre, their famed academy. I've done a little bit of reading on him before this, and he just went from the reserves to the first team, scored the same amount of goals he did in his debut season in Ligue 1 as he did for the reserves. So he's kind of taken everything in his stride, and then he went to Bournemouth, and like you said, dearth of opportunity. I don't think it was for his lack of ability, and now he looks like a really savvy acquisition at 10 mil. Everyone was calling Sheffield United, it was that Spanish paper, quite a well-respected Spanish paper, I can't remember the name of it, it's a bit of a mouthful, calling Chris Wilder's men Brexit FC. We had a few laughs on Sunday Vibes last season at the fact they had no one from outside the British Isles, and they had like 2 players under the age of 25. And then Chris Wilder's gone, okay, just to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. He's 23. He's French. And he's absolutely banging at the moment. Is there anyone on the continent you boys can think of? Mr. Euro Football Daily, what are you saying?
Overlooked players this season. I mean, I've disagreed with Pato quite a few times on this. That I think Toni Kroos is actually having a really good year for Real Madrid. Pato doesn't quite agree, which is entitled to his opinion.
Got it in his head though, hasn't he? And he'll refuse to budge.
Yeah, I feel like he just thinks that... I feel like sometimes on Football Daily we see players over 30 and we instantly think like they've got no ability anymore, whereas Toni Kroos has never really been about pace. He's never really been about how he gets around the pitch. But when he's on the ball, when he's around the box, there's no one quite like him. I think Toni Kroos has been exceptional. But Real Madrid recently, I mean, it's quite a revival. I know you wanted to talk a bit about Karim Benzema because the impact he's had recently has been phenomenal.
Yeah, should have been building more furniture last night. I obviously found myself watching PSG versus Real Madrid, and Real Madrid looked completely rejuvenated, and we were quite open to the idea of Zidane leaving the club not that long ago, and now they're joint top of La Liga. Admittedly, this is not a vintage start to a La Liga season, is it? But Karim Benzema, 21 goals in the league last year in 34 starts, I believe, pretty much carrying them to second place or second, right?
But level on goal difference.
On goal difference, yeah, that's where it's thrown me. But this campaign, I think 10 goals and 2 assists in 12 starts in the league. And had it not been for him, I mean, Eden Hazard was under enough pressure as it was at the start of the campaign.
He did.
Yeah, he arrived a little bit, it's been heavily reported, he arrived a little bit out of shape, he didn't get off to the quickest start. But Karim Benzema has just been that guy, that ever-present, who they can rely on 100%. And in last night's game, and you'll probably hear about this on UCL Review, go and watch UCL Review if you've not watched it, it might be a little bit out of date now, but views. He actually contributed to heavily to build-up play last night against PSG, and this is what I think is slightly underrated about Karim Benzema, his all-round game and his willingness to plug the gaps. He did it when Ronaldo was there, to his own detriment in terms of goals and assists, but last night 60 passes for a centre forward.
Yeah,
that's the sort of numbers that a midfielder puts up, a central midfielder. In fact,
so the opposite to Icardi.
Yeah, Marquinhos put up 64, Icardi 6. But you kind of forgive Icardi because he'll probably get you a goal off 7 passes. Yeah. But then, when you think about 60 passes, he must have been so deep, to facilitate that. But still, he takes 9 touches inside the box, only bested by Kylian Mbappe, who I think was on 12. So it kind of boggles the mind that he's able to do all this still, again, post 30 club this week. So
I've got one that's post 30.
I think we should put a little bit, obviously things that have gone on off the pitch have kind of taken away from his shine somewhat. But on the pitch, we need to put a bit more respect on Karim Benzema's name. It's hard to be underrated at a club like Real Madrid, but he's certainly always been the bridesmaid.
There was a period where people used to just take the mick out of him all the time. And I think only recently he's been getting the respect that he probably deserves.
Has always deserved, yeah. 100 Champions League appearances as well last night.
That's insane. I was going to say Godin. I was quite sceptical about the Godin move because I was like, he's really old now, you know, kind of like...
He's an absolute P as well.
Yeah, he is. But I was like, if Atleti are kind of willing to let him go, then surely they've seen something that he doesn't look too great. But I mean, you've seen Atleti this season. I mean, they're still okay, but defensively, especially at set pieces, oh my God, they're ridiculous. They're without Godin, they're nothing there.
Solid,
and Godin at Inter Milan has really helped them shore up the defence. His experience, I think, has definitely helped people like De Vries and Skriniar. And also Handanovic has also been playing really, really well too. And Conte definitely helps. But I kind of thought he'd be used as a sub kind of person. They'd play kind of like John Terry was used for when he was at Chelsea. And he would be brought on just for when they needed him in the big games.
Like in Football Manager, when you tell a player you're going to be a first team player, but not a key player.
Exactly. However, he's thrown out the window and said, "No, I'm a key player." He's been so good for Inter Milan, and especially in the title charge for Serie A. He looks like a key player that I don't really think has got a lot of credit at Inter Milan.
No, definitely. And sticking in Serie A briefly, Ciro Immobile, once again, another outstanding campaign. I think he's only second to Robert Lewandowski for goals in Europe's top 5 leagues. Lazio top scorers in Serie A. I think they're now up to 3rd. Deserves a lot of credit. Never really done it in the big opportunities he's been given with the likes of Sevilla and Dortmund. But
is Savage still doing well?
I'd say Sevilla and Lazio, similar sort of level club.
Yeah, true, potentially, but at least Dortmund. But continuing his golden summer.
Yeah, I'd also say Odsonne Edouard, Ciro Immobile, mate. So doesn't really matter, does it?
The Celtic agenda.
There we go.
See you in the last 32 of the Europa League, guys. Any last suggestions before we move on to quick-fire questions?
Said Ben Rama.
Said Ben Rama.
Said Ben Rama.
Get him the move. How is he not playing in the top league yet? I don't know.
Championship players that deserve a move. That is a totally different question, isn't it? One that we're not prepared for, so why ask it? Let's move on to quick-fire questions. Before we move on then, a polite reminder to go and watch Kings of the Month. It went live this Friday. You can get it on Sky on demand. They were talking about their players of November, their star players, hence the name Kings of the Month. But who's your King of the Month, Zach?
Oh,
that's what the fans want to know.
I'm going to go for Marcus Rashford.
Rashford?
He's been really good, especially for United. They've kind of been a bit more rejuvenated. He's got 3 goals and an assist in the 3 games he's played, or at this time of recording, in November. And I don't know, I think this season he's finally starting to really take the role of being kind of the lead man for United.
Looked a lot more assured since Martial's came back, and Martial's taken up that central role, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he's been, I think the whole season he's been pretty good. I think people, again, forget how young he is. Like, he is still only, I think he's just turned 21 or 22 over the past couple of days. And to have been in that United side for that whole time, like, he's one of the most experienced players. And I think consistently for United, if there's one player that's always you can count on to maybe get the goal to get them back into the game, it's Marcus Rashford. So, yeah, he's my King of the Month.
Do you much prefer him off that left-hand side?
100%.
Dig.
My selection is a little bit niche.
Why are you smiling?
Well, it's just a little bit niche, but I just thought I'd mix it up. I'm actually going for James Tarkovsky.
Was that you mixing the deck as well?
That was me mixing it up. Yeah, it's my
available for birthdays and bar mitzvahs. Yeah.
First time DJing. But yeah, James Tarkovsky. I think he's been very assured this month at the back. Burnley have obviously been in superb form. They've moved up to 7th, I believe, but they're level on points with 6th place Sheffield United, and very deservedly so, deserve to be in there. That's a lot of deserveds in there. But Tarkovsky, he's slightly dropped down the England pecking order recently, and probably deservedly so if we're trying to move into a sort of new era of more ball-playing centre-backs. But I can't think of a centre-back I'd rather have for Burnley at the back alongside Ben Mee than James Tarkovsky. Absolute mammoth in both boxes, really good anticipation. There's just a lot to like about Tarkovsky, and he's my King of the Month.
Nice, I like it. Shining a bit of light there on Burnley. Again. Are you Sean Dyche's love child? I think you are, aren't you, mate? I'm going to go for James Maddison. I mean, he's pretty high up the power rankings, which we will put a link in the description too. James Maddison creating 2.3 chances this term, so continuing that really strong, creative run of form that he became, famous for last term. He created over 100 chances, the only player to do so in the Premier League. Doesn't actually have that many assists to his name this season, so maybe been a little bit unlucky in that regard. I would have to take a look at his expected assists to give you a informed opinion. But he's been amongst the goals, hasn't he? And he's just been just a creative tour de force. And the persistent rumours of Manchester United, they're lingering, aren't they? A January bid supposedly pending. But if Leicester can keep hold of him, they have every chance of finishing in the top 4. I do think a title bid is probably a little bit beyond them.
Yeah.
Are we all in agreement? If Jamie Vardy gets injured,
Say
I'm not sure what happens.
What's happened? Iheanacho still there?
Yeah.
And then maybe play Perez centrally as well, but he's enjoying it on the wing.
Gosh. I never said gosh in my life. What's going on?
Sound like my granny.
Oh, bloody hell. Let's move on to the quick fire questions then. If you guys are interested in Kings of the Month and obviously Kings of the Premier League, the show, like I said, check out the link in the description. First question, and it's bringing us back to Arsenal. It's from Varun_Dalal. This one was actually from Instagram, so you can send questions in on multiple platforms.
So DM to Zach, I believe.
Is there any way, that's it, bother Zach and you'll get on the show. Is there any way Arsenal can finish inside the top 4? I know we touched upon this very briefly, but let's expand.
No. Full stop. No. I think Liverpool and Man City are up there at the top 2, and I think they're too far ahead. I think Chelsea are just, at this point in the season, too far ahead from them. I don't really see them collapsing. I think Leicester, again, the same boat as Chelsea, they're just too good. Whereas Arsenal are, to be a top 4 contender, you need to be winning your games against the likes of Southampton, against the likes of West Ham and teams like that.
Home games.
100, exactly, and that's like the bare minimum you need to do to get into the top 4, especially in a season like this where it's a little bit more questionable.
Okay, El Briar, your favourite goal of the decade. We're coming to the
Oh
end.
God, we are coming to 2020, aren't we?
Juicy.
Jesus.
I haven't really given this one much thought, but I did really. You remember there was a couple of scorpion kicks in a couple of weeks. Giroud and Mkhitaryan.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed those goals. Thought Andy Carroll's goal was it against Crystal Palace. I'm back to sneeze. Maybe someone's going to have to take
Wilshere's goal for Arsenal against Norwich.
The link-up play with Giroud.
I'll never forget Charlie Adams' goal against Chelsea from behind the halfway line.
Yeah.
Where he does it over Courtois. I mean, Rooney scored a couple.
Yeah.
Rooney's bicycle kick against City. I mean, there's same. I think it's hard to put. Even what's the goal? The Fulham player. What's his
the
name?
Iranian right winger.
Where he
Yes.
boffs it and goes it.
It's very...
Really takes it wide and then chips it over to the left.
It was the Dutch striker, Van Basten.
Yeah.
It's sort of very, very akin to that.
I think it's hard to say he just won.
People will be shouting at not mentioning Peter Crouch's goal against
you
Man
get
City as well.
That's definitely up there.
I think we might have come
Jamie Vardy's against Liverpool.
Yeah.
I think that was that on their run to the title, or was that
No, that was on the run
when
to the
Craig
title.
Shakespeare took charge and they beat them in the EFL Cup, didn't they? I think it was 3-1.
I'm pretty sure because that was one of the goals that.
I'm not sure if that was in the title run or the recovery afterwards, but that goal against, I think Mahrez scored that game as well. That goal against Liverpool was absolutely outstanding. There's been some great free kicks as well, recently.
David Luiz had a few mental ones.
What's your favourite type of goal? Do you like the volley or do you like the long ranger? Because personally, I've never been a massive fan of a long ranger. Over the halfway line, I could probably kick a ball 35 metres. I don't
test that.
I don't actually think it's that big. I don't actually think it's as difficult as a volley.
You look Xabi Alonso in the eyes and say that, you scumbag.
It's an amazing achievement, but it's just not. I don't ever.
I
put it
think
in my
volleys
top.
are easier to hit. I think volleys are easier to hit. You can judge a volley a lot easier than a long shot.
Say Andros Townsend's goal against Man City, a lot harder than Rooney's against West Ham, where it takes a bounce before it goes in. The keeper always looks like a bit of an idiot. I don't know. It's not a fact.
Andros Townsend that's a mental volley though.
Yeah.
We didn't even mention that one to be fair.
All company against Leicester, that's a great goal to win a title effectively.
Yeah, because then the counter argument to that would be Andros Townsend is just putting his leg through that ball, isn't it? Don't get me wrong, it requires great technique, but I feel like it's more instinctive and a little less planned, a little less mapped out than someone like Rooney's finish. You know what? Pablo Sarrabia's finish. I keep going on about this PSG versus Real Madrid game last night.
I've not seen it.
It was it was so satisfying. It was when it's like half volleyed, half clipped, but he's put he knows he's got a strong sense of direction on it, and it's just the keeper's just flailing. A half volley is extremely satisfying. Robin van Persie, we're not even talking about his catalogue of goals. Some of the volleys over the shoulder as well. A little bit of both there.
I think I enjoy a more Jack Wilshere kind of goal though. When it's like going between them all, and they go like one of like City scored many of them. I mean, Jack Wilshere's just it was very like one touch.
Yeah,
very
that
quick,
was a beautiful
quick in the
goal.
moment as well.
Yeah.
Oh, it's hard. I mean,
Why don't we do a poll? Do you prefer a team goal, a volley, or a long ranger? Up there.
To the words out of my mouth.
Oh, sorry.
A poll, mid quickfire questions, absolute saints. Okay, next question comes from Nipats fan 13. If the ban gets overturned, what players should Chelsea sign in January to strengthen their team, to complete in the UCL, and to lock up the top 4? Guessing that wasn't sent in on Twitter. That must be more than 140 characters.
What can I say that won't screw me over? Ben Chilwell, 100%. I think he's unbelievable. Either him or Hakimi. I just don't think we'd get Hakimi. So I think Ben Chilwell. I don't see why not going after someone like Jadon Sancho. I think Willian is getting on. Not saying like he's going to be. He might have another season.
Rejuvenated.
Exactly. He has another season or 2 in him.
Club last year.
But Pedro does look like he's on his way out. So we need another winger to come in to produce. Or to be not a backup, but like to give an option on the wing, and also play a
so
kind
you
of
think
cam.
Abramovich would go big if the transfer ban is lifted?
There has been words said recently, not by Abramovich's like right-hand man, that Chelsea are apparently going to spend a lot of money.
Oh, wow, that's quite a reversal from his attitude a year ago.
Also, for the words that have been said in the press is that Abramovich is now very happy, like he's very in love with the club again since Lampard has taken over, and that
it's all changed.
Yeah, apparently it's all changed, and that he's willing to spend a lot of money this summer. I mean, also I don't personally think Batshuayi would be too keen to be back up again next season, but he might be. But if he was to move on, Giroud's now getting older, we will need another striker, maybe Cavani. Why not pick him up if he's happy for a bench option?
18-month deal or something. We had Glenn Johnson on the Football Social on Saturday, and I said, have you ever been on Abramovich's yacht? And he said, we were supposed to go on it when we played Monaco in the Champions League, and then we lost to Monaco, and he didn't let them on the yacht.
Really? You guys can walk.
How good is that? I agree. I think Jadon Sancho would be absolutely bloody fantastic. Something you said there actually made me think of it. I want to ask you guys, who do you think is the most underrated fullback in the Premier League? Because just to deviate very slightly, I think Ricardo Pereira, a lot of top teams,
I don't think he's underrated.
will wish they'd have signed him for 22 mil.
Back then, yes. Back then,
I thought absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, but I feel like everyone knows that
now.
Yeah,
okay.
Maybe back then, 100%. I agree. I mean,
but people talk about Ben Chilwell to Chelsea. No one talks about Ricardo Pereira to Tottenham, for example.
Yeah, it's a fair point.
Just trying to think of other underrated fullbacks. I mean, Rika at Bournemouth played very well this campaign. His numbers are exceptional. I think he's only second behind Wan-Bissaka for tackles.
He's done well there. It's quite a niche question.
It is quite a niche one. I'm trying to think of underrated.
Delta.
Brandon Williams has started very well at Man United, to be fair for him.
He's not a full. I don't think he was a fullback though, is he?
He's a left back.
Oh, fair.
But
he has been
finishing
very
at
good.
Sheffield.
Very early days. I'm not saying he's underrated, but fair play to him.
Yes, sorry, I forgot his name again.
Ferreira.
No,
Ferreira.
Doherty. Since Wolves have come up, has always done a really good job for them. You always find him scoring very important goals for them. He's always pushing up.
Times.
Is there anyone else that we can think of?
I have asked you this question because I'm biding time, because the next question was about Unai Emery at Arsenal, and I don't want to talk about it. So yeah, let's just go straight on to the next one. From Lazy Hobby, I think it's his second contribution this week. I think he might have featured on Winners and Losers, so shout out, big up yourself.
What a week to the Hobbit.
Which dark horse teams in Europe's top 5 leagues have the most exciting future ahead of them?
Ooh.
Okay, so maybe he was thinking Gladbach, maybe he was thinking who's Marseille are second at the moment in Ligue 1, aren't they? Europe's top 5, that excludes Portugal, that excludes the Eredivisie.
Like Roma have got a lot of exciting young talent. Cengiz Under, Justin Clive are only going to get better and better. They've struggled to break into that team consistently, but when they have played, I think they've got big future ahead of them. Pellegrini in there as well. Looks like an all-round great
Zaniolo.
Zaniolo as well. There's a lot of young, exciting talent with Roma, and they're still struggling to break away from the sort of Dzeko, Kolarov days. I think it was a stat that Dzeko and Kolarov have still been involved in close to 50% of their league goals.
I think it was 57. I think we did that in ERU, didn't we?
Oh,
crazy. I know.
Which is pretty damning. So I'll go Roma.
That's mental. That's ridiculous.
I think Roma's a really good answer, and they're in safe hands under Fonseca. They've finally found a manager I think can guide them back to the top 4 after narrowly missing out in seasons gone by. We've got any other suggestions? Atalanta have been the best kind of dark horse recently, but Papu Gomez, I mean, great goal last night in the Champions League. Obviously filmed this on Thursday, like you all know by now, and consistently complain about. We literally can't film on Sunday, so stop that. I wonder with their forward line, like Zapata's injured, okay. Ilicic is 31. Papu Gomez is like 32, 33. I wonder how they're going to be able to maintain that.
And Gasperini's also very old as a manager.
Gasperini's timeless. So I wonder like if they're going to fall back in terms of their dark horse ranking, dark horse power rankings. That's our thing now. All right. Have we got anyone else? Fiorentina been playing well, have they?
I mean, especially after last season when they finished so badly, but they were projected to do actually a lot better. They've started to make good on that. Still, Chiesa never moved to Juventus in the end, and he's been doing pretty well for them this season.
Milinkovic is still there, hell of a player.
Yeah.
Centre off. Have we got anyone else before we move on to the next one?
Well, Gladbach's young players are playing pretty well so far.
Dortmund still considered a
Thuram doing very well. Alisson Player as well. Brilliant Bolo up front. Florian Neuhaus in midfield. So they've got loads of options there. So they're only going to get better and better. They probably won't win it this year, but they'll be in the
Schalke
next
still
few years
doing
to
well?
come, hopefully.
Kieran, Schalke doing well?
Yeah.
There you go, Schalke.
There you go. Kieran's officially featured in Sunny Vibes. Last question from Jose Housery, or Howersy. Will the situation at Napoli force their best players to leave in January? Could I have got any closer to the eye? Oh my God. So, I mean, Joe did a pretty good job of unpicking this on We Need to Talk. Basically, De Laurentiis wants to dock several first-team players a percentage of their wage for refusing to go to this resort, this like team bonding resort. Carlo Ancelotti was the only one that reported for it, and he pretty much got the full Ferrari of De Laurentiis. And I think subsequently wants to sell Callahan to China. I mean, you can get a fee for him. Dries Mertens, although rumours that Dries Mertens signing a pre-contract agreement with Inter Milan in January. And he was like, he wants to dock Alan's wages and he wants to sell Alan. So I don't know what Alan's done.
What happened with Insigne?
He's club captain at the moment, but I think he's in the firing line as well. But
Koulibaly?
So
yeah, Koulibaly as well. They're
oh
all
my
big links
days!
away.
I mean,
it's all falling apart.
Let's reshape the question a little bit. Where do you see these players going if they do exit? Like who needs them? And
Koulibaly to City would be alright.
A rebuild job for Napoli might be one we say for the podcast, but Koulibaly to City.
Koulibaly to City. I mean, they've City have been unfortunate with their injuries. But I mean, Fernandini's done an all right job at centre back, but Fernandini is also still getting on. I don't know how long he can keep up this record of still being a fantastic player as he ages on. So I'm pretty sure if they are looking to just get rid of him, they're not going to be asking for the £100 million that they were asking for before. United also, they'll probably be interested in Koulibaly.
Liverpool have been linked with Insigne for quite a few years as well. There's always rumours of that going around, and he'd be a fantastic addition. I'm not sure whether he'd be happy to be a backup, but if they were to sell one of Salah and Mane in say a year's time or maybe 2 years' time, he'd be a great addition.
I'm just picturing Shaqiri reading that in the newspaper, just being like, oh.
It's happened again.
Oh, shucks.
Damn it.
I mean, yeah, Insigne.
Callahan back to Real Madrid.
Insigne's been linked with Real Madrid for the last couple of years. He's been linked with Barcelona. Their forward line is absolutely stocked, isn't it? And they probably won't be signing anyone until they've sorted out the managerial situation, which is kind of, if Real Madrid go top of the league, that'll deteriorate pretty quickly. I feel like maybe Zidane's position is a little bit more secure now, but the victor of that El Clasico, they may well be playing to save their job at that point. Where do you think Napoli's exodus of players should go? Let us know in the comments and on Twitter and every other platform you can get your hands on. Time to move on to personal questions. Forgot that we actually segment it, don't we? So Let's dive straight into it then. Banter Merchant 56, awful. What is your earliest memory? Very quickly, because we've got another one after this.
I distinctly remember being in one of those, what are they called?
Playpens?
No, the
Cages.
No,
Caves.
things that you put your child in, they can
Pit.
walk around.
A creche.
Creche. I don't know if this memory is real, but it's stuck in my head.
Oh, you mean
I was in
with
a
the bars? Right, okay.
I don't know, the thing that you can walk around, and I was on top of a slide, and I went down the slide in one of them. But I don't remember that being legit.
Oh.
But I just think that was the
You
thing that happened in
mean
my...
Like a padding, like a
No,
Zorb.
it's like a tray that goes round you almost.
Yeah, and it's got wheels,
Yeah,
and
it's
then you
got
walk.
wheels.
But I remember somehow being on
Did you
top of
need
a...
assistance walking when you were younger? Because you were a bit of a lump, weren't you?
Well, everyone needs one of them when they grow up.
That is true. Everyone,
What do you mean?
Learning.
No one doesn't know. You don't come out learning how to walk.
everyone does need assistance
Hamill
walking.
instantly
that is-
knew. He had his glasses on with some hair done and he was ready.
Hello and welcome back to
Welcome
Winter
to
News. Right, do you go?
Being pushed off my bike by my brother into the nettle patch. I've never forgiven him.
It's not where you got that scar though, is it?
No, unfortunately not. That was a tree battle.
That's a story for another day. Took on an ent. What was mine? Forgot what I was going to say. I insisted for a little while, a bit like you. I feel like when the lie becomes the truth. That I remember.
I don't know if that's
I
true.
remembered being baptised. I was like, I remember choking on water as an early memory. Then in my head, I just thought maybe that was being baptised, and then I eventually became I remember being baptised. And my mum was like, you were never baptised. Like, only your sister was. And I was just like, that's crushing. Because I thought that, I'd somehow
Maybe you
managed
saw your
to
sister-
retain a memory from being like 6 months old. And I thought,
God has touched me.
That's my fucking superpower, yeah. Last personal question then from Reg Star. What is your unpopular television opinion? You might as well take this one away because you like every garbage bit of TV going.
I like garbage TV, like Love Island and stuff like that. I'm a celebrity right now, loving it. Greatest lineup we've had in a long time. I'm a big fan of teen dramas. I watched the whole of. This is going to ruin my career, Jesus. But I watched Riverdale. I've watched 13 Reasons Why. I just like garbage TV. I don't know.
What, instead of quality TV, or do you like both?
I like both, but I like to eke them out. Sometimes I'm like, I'll watch this great piece of, really informing TV, then I want to see, this rubbish over here, two people moan at each other because someone's kissed someone else.
Well, but yeah, I'm a bit of a snob when it comes to stuff like that. I won't be watching Love Island.
I feel like
I'm not. They don't let me know what's
soaps are all overrated, like Emmerdale, Corrie, Hollyoaks. I've never got on board with any of them except for
Back in the day?
Neighbours briefly. But I feel like
the Kylie.
I just don't have the attention span to follow a soap for years. I think that's maybe more
I
a
can't-
reflection
I
on
can't
me
do
than
that
the
either.
production. But yeah, I'm not a fan.
I never really got into Breaking Bad.
I
everyone
never watched- everyone loves that.
Universally
I never watched
loved.
that either, yeah.
I only watched the first series, and I was a bit like, yeah, it was good, but yeah, I found some of the characters like really irritating, and every time I tell people I've not watched it, I opted for The Sopranos instead. They're always like, what? You've never finished Breaking Bad? So that's probably the closest I can think to controversial. But yeah, like things like 13 Reasons Why, and Riverdale that my girlfriend watches, they just make me feel a bit ill, to be honest.
I just like to sit there, turn off my brain, have a good laugh.
Easy.
Half of it I'm on my phone for, but it's just.
Something on.
Thing
in the
is, I
background.
watched the first season, and what thing is, once I've watched a season, I'm in. I'm like, I can't. I need to know what happens. Even if it's like the story, they're so bad. They are so bad.
Power is. My girlfriend loves
Power's
that as
good.
well.
Power's alright. Power's okay.
Power's terrible, man.
The stories are terrible.
I can
but
see
you're
why
like,
people get into it.
you're just like, I'm in now, so I might as well finish it. I'm not
Yeah.
like actually enjoying it, but I need to see what happens to Archie.
What is your guilty pleasure then? Because Zach is right. Everyone does have a guilty pleasure when it comes to TV. We might have discussed this before. I think I remember. What did you? No, I can't remember what Joe said. But what
I
did
feel
you
like
say?
Joe's the same as me. He loves
Big
rubbish
Bang
TV.
Theory gets a lot of crap, but
Oh,
I actually don't mind it.
Deaky.
I can watch
Of course you like
And
the
there
Big
we
Bang
have it.
Theory.
That's the ultimate answer to this question.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Big Bang Theory is powerfully unfunny.
I used to quite enjoy it.
Anything with like a laughter track behind, I just
How I
really
Met Your Mother
hate.
as well. Poor man's Friends.
Yeah, don't
Even
watch that.
Friends at
What's
times
the
can
Big
be.
Bang
Friends
Man
is good,
then?
but at times Friends.
Watch your mouth.
Friends
I used to
really
love
bad.
Friends. I had all the videos lined up under my bed when I was young because we had videos then. I used to buy them for £1 each time from the local shop, and I built and built until I finished that collection, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's the end of the show. Thank you very much for tuning in to Sunday Vibes. Get your questions to us for next week's episode. It normally goes out on Tuesday, Wednesday, the tweet. That'll be one of us. Keep your eyes peeled and make sure you tune in again to the latest episode of Kings of the Premier League. All the details you'll need are in the description below. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. See you later. Bye.